Hey everyone, Corey from aquariumcoop.com. Today we're taking a look at the 75-gallon Schoutedeni tank. Everyone's been asking for an update. This is what it currently looks like. There's a lot of caves because we also have the leopard frog plecos in there. We've got an air stone in the back. We've got plants. We're doing absolutely no fertilizing and auto water change. We're heating it to roughly 84 degrees or so. And let's take a look at them. So there's still 6 puffers. Right? No, 5, because we only ever start with 5. I was trying to think, usually there's one hiding, but we can see all 5 currently, which is rare. And then there's about 8 or 9 leopard frogs. I haven't taken anything out to look, and we actually lost 3 of them when I was out of town, and Jimmy was feeding. And what happened was, behind this big piece of wood is the intake to the AquaClear. I don't know if you, oh, there we go. So the AquaClear filter is what's filtering this tank, and it got one of the big leaves. Let me see if I can get this to stop. There we go. One of the big leaves from an Anubias broke off and clogged the intake. So it basically shut it off. We had like almost no filtration going, and so we had an ammonia spike because Jimmy was still feeding, which, you know, he was feeding the fish while I was gone. And we didn't figure out what exactly was going on until the ammonia already spiked. So even though we got it cleared up, we still lost like 3 leopard frogs. Didn't lose any of the Schoutedenis. But I'm going to put some food in. Normally we're feeding, as you can see here, there's clams on the half shell and Malaysian trumpet snails. You can see those shells all around. And they'll eat that, but a lot of times we're also feeding bloodworms and other frozen foods. So let me go ahead and move the light back a little bit. And I'll put food in here. Gotta open up my flat of bloodworms. Yep, I just opened that with my teeth. That was kind of gross. Put those in. We'll pull the light back forward, and we'll kind of watch them eat as I talk about them. So I met with the person that had bred them in Germany, and he says I got to get the pH down to 5.5 if I want to raise the eggs. So that's we've got aragonite gravel in here, and we're auto water changing, so the water stays at 7.0 all the time. I got to put it on a tank that's not auto water changing. Means I gotta move them, or shut this tank off and move all the plecos. So to breed them right now, I'm just kind of fattening them up. They're still that low man or woman on the totem pole that's a little bit skinnier than the rest. The rest are a lot more plump. But I think they need to put on a little bit more size before they're really ready to start breeding. But that might just be an excuse for me to go, well, I haven't had time to move them yet. You can see the aggression there. They don't really harm each other. They just kind of get a little territorial over food. And I noticed that the frozen bloodworms kind of going around in the tank really allows some of the ones that aren't dominant to get a lot of food, where when I feed just some clams, they'll kind of all huddle around them, and only the biggest and brightest ones get to eat. But with the foods bringing out some of the leopard frogs, you can see one there, and there's one under that cave, and then there's one coming out underneath that piece of wood. And then over here, we've also got another leopard frog pleco, and so they're kind of all around. They start slowly creeping out as food becomes more and more available for them. So now it's really starting to melt, as you can see, so it's going to land and everything will just start chomping. But it's been relatively easy. I was expecting a lot more aggression or problems. We've got a couple at the store, and if they don't sell pretty soon, I'll probably bring them home. I kind of want to upgrade these to a 125. I'm really enjoying them, and you can see they're all starting to really move out here. I have to kind of stay far back from the tank. If I get right up next to it, the plecos won't come out, so I have to do a lot of zooming that you're noticing. You can see another one starting to back its tail out of there. And I think these plecos might be in the next 6-8 months start breeding for me, so that'd be super cool. And obviously I'm going to have to split those off once they do, because I think the puffers would just eat their babies. So that's not going to, this combo that's here long term can't work, but it sure is cool to look at. I really enjoy kind of all the spotted black and yellow, and then you've got all the striped black and yellow. So, and the plecos are really good at cleaning the last little bits off of the clams and that kind of stuff. Ideally, we'd set up like an auto doser, so it dosed fertilizers when I wasn't here, and we wouldn't get, that's where you get this yellow, the yellow on the leaves of the Anubias. There's not enough nitrogen. So because we're changing a lot of water, the food that we feed doesn't build up nitrates for them. And so we get a little bit of algae on the glass, but that's about all we get. And I'll say, I believe this tank has never been algae scraped since we set it up, and it's been a long time. And the reason how I know this is because even under the hood here, you see this line? This is dust. Like we literally just haven't had time to do that yet. You know, the whole goal is really to redo this whole tank. I want to move and put a couple more pieces of wood and figure out, okay, is this going to be the leopard frog tank? We'll do that, and then put a school of fish that looks really cool down here. So that's one thing to think about. That means the puffers are moving. So there's kind of some musical chairs to go on. You know, same thing, we've got the tank up above. This is the 494 pleco tank, and kind of the same thing. We need to put a schooling fish in there. We need to change it up, but I want to make a whole video about doing that and make it look cool, and not just, you know, like I myself would much rather hide all these caves or use all the like coconut caves and cover them in moss and just really plant it up. I guess that's really, I always want planted tanks, let's be real here. And so you know, there's plants that are holding on, you know, some crypts like crypt parva and that kind of stuff that are real tiny, but they're just scraps from when we moved the fish room. So ooh, here's a tip I can show you. I was trying to figure out why this sword was doing so bad. I think Jimmy moved a pleco in here. So super red bristlenose, well no, bristlenose or plecos in general are notorious for eating sword plants, big broadleaf plants like that. And so I thought we were having a horrible like nitrogen deficiency in this tank when I did a tour with Bob the other day. Turns out it's just there's a pleco in there, he's gonna eat it all. So you can't put any kind of pleco in with swords and stuff like that. They'll just chow it down. Same thing, so if you want to see the same thing going on up here, this Java fern, if we scroll way in there, all those leaves, that's damage from the plecos. So while it adds some greenery, like you just drop it in and whatnot, and they'll snack on it. So, but they do fine with like crypts and anubias typically, and stem plants. It's just those big broadleaves that are just easy enough for them to eat, which is too bad because I really love some of the sword plants, but I always typically have plecos. So, but the Schoutedeni doing good. I need to drop that pH. I mean, maybe a black water thing, like, so if I just had a bunch of wood in there and wasn't really changing water. And then I wonder, maybe you guys can help me think of a good fish to go with them, because it can't be corridoras. They're going to sprinkle eggs all around. It has to be something with like tiny mouths. Maybe like Norman lampi killies, or maybe clown killies. I wonder if that yellow pattern would be cool again. So I wonder if we could do something like that. And if it needs to be something that can handle that low pH. I kind of keep just thinking cardinal tetras. Like cardinal tetras, I don't think would go down and eat eggs or anything. So they're kind of dopey. And so that's what I'm thinking. But the goal is hopefully sometime this summer redo all these tanks. There's you know, some other acquisitions you might have seen in Bob's tour, like the neon blue platies that I've got that I want to go into my living room, and you know, stuff like that. So kind of just a quick pan around to some of these tanks. I want to do Ladybird's tank, that's in the top left there, and that's on the to-do list as well. So there's Jimmy's rainbow tank. Looks like he's got the light all the way to the right hand side, or maybe just the other light hasn't kicked on yet. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the Schoutedeni update. You know, I haven't done an update because there hasn't been that much to share, but once I visited that breeder, I learned a whole lot more. The other thing I learned that he says is you don't have to worry about their teeth growing. So you can feed them softer things more. I mean, I'm always going to feed them shelled things, but I've never seen mine really rub their teeth against the shell, and yet I don't see any of them really having any long teeth. So maybe that's a true statement. You know, maybe not every puffer comes from a place where they really need to, you know, chow down on that. So let's hope that is, because that makes it even easier. So, all right, well, I'll find some other stuff to update on. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video.